Today we're going to be endeavouring to expel the English from the majestic Emerald Isles of Ireland. We're going to be playing here as Connacht. You'll see that we start with 229 levies, and if we compare them to the Pale, who has 2,000, we're definitely outnumbered. So let's see what we can do. We're going to be doing Iron Manning it, because of course we always are. So how does Ireland work? First of all of the Irish countries in Ireland are bound by this high kingship of Ireland. In order to be elected, you need to have half of the votes. Once you are elected, you gain access to these new buttons. But we'll talk about those when we eventually come to them. In the immediate term, one thing we want to do is get rid of this reform. Why? It reduces our peasant levies by 50%. And as you noticed, we only have 200 levies. So we definitely need to get rid of that and do anything we can to amplify our levy numbers. For that reason, we're going to grab common militias, our beloved reform. As we're a tribe, we're also going to max our tribal cohesion, which also affects our levy size. We're not going to use our darting reform. We're going to save that for the next era so we can make better use of it. One of the things we can do, and one of the things I like to do, is form a tribal confederacy and unite all and bring all of the Irish nations into it. This essentially lets us create a defensive league made up of the Irish nations to defend against the English interlopers. And protecting all of the little Irish tribes is just kind of appeals to me, right? This is one of the reasons why we formed this confederation. There's a few of these Anglo-English nations around within Ireland, and they're going to try and expand and conquer our fellow smaller Irish forces. By building this confederation, we provide the option of actually unifying our small Irish armies together and perhaps winning these conflicts. We'd like to save and protect as many of our fellow Irish as we can, even if they are a bit stupid and hesitant to attach to our armies. When it comes to fighting these English lords, we have to be very careful. We might have the numbers, but when it comes down to actual quality, their troops are kind of better. With that in mind, we need to make sure we fight with most of our army together with our friends. Otherwise, we'll risk total annihilation, which is not what we want. We're here to defend Ireland. There, we've just been elected High King. Being High King just on its own just provides 0.10 prestige, which isn't amazing. But as I mentioned, it gives us access to these buttons. We can use these to gain casus bellis on the non-Irish rulers of land, as well as to subjugate other members of the High Kingdom. Although for us, we're taking a much more friendly route. Now that we're High King and we've built our large-scale defensive alliance, we're going to begin requesting that our fellow Irish become our vassals. Our goal is to really just build up a large-scale network of allies and vassals with which we can potentially overthrow the English. Then we're going to keep an eye on the English and wait for a moment of weakness, preferably when they're deeply involved in a war with the French. The moment the Renaissance hits, we head over to our reforms and grab the local army organisation for the extra 20% peasant army levies. One thing of note about Ireland is everyone has these very small forts, which are quite easy to siege down. No one has actually researched castles. The one thing you may want to do is research castles as quickly as possible and build your own. Doing so will essentially give you the most well-defended location on the island, outside of Dublin, which is controlled by the English. When taking land in Ireland, it's tempting to want to release it as a vassal, as that is the usual EU5 strategy. But you may want to hang on to it, not necessarily because of the income from it, there's likely going to be very little, but just to gain access to more levies, as that is what's largely holding you back. In the same way, it may be a good idea to accept the Anglo-English cultures that exist in these lands. One thing of note is because of the High Kingship, cultural converting in lands is almost impossible. So in the short term, you may want to simply accept the Anglo-Irish and convert them later. But of course, there's nothing stopping you playing the long game and focusing on coring the land and then assimilating the pops. When it comes to how to separate the Pale from England, my recommendation is to build a spy network in England and then agitate liberty on the Pale. This will give them -25 to their loyalty. If you're lucky, they'll then declare an independence war, maybe even backed by other factions. When it comes to your vassals, my recommendation is to integrate them as fast as possible. Remember that reform at the start, or privilege, that halves your levies? We got rid of it. They won't, so they'll still be sitting at minuscule levies and not being able to provide much support to you at all. So I would just annex them, and make better use of their land than they were. Even if the Pale doesn't rebel, we want to continue to agitate liberty in as many of the English vassals as we can. We're kind of just setting up for when the England goes to war with France. We want to be able to attack the Pale when the England has no soldiers because they've all died to the French, and at the same time when their vassals are too disloyal to intervene in the war and help them. Because what tends to happen is English vassals peace out France, then they just hang around. We don't want those vassals to be sailing over to Ireland to fight us. We'd much rather deal with the Pale without English intervention. And if England does intervene, we don't want the English vassals to also be there. Ireland's a weird place. This Tyrol here is our vassal. Then they have this Orel here as their vassal. And then Orel has here Tyrone as their vassal. It's just vassals all the way down. Vassals with vassals with vassals. Does it ever end? How odd. On a positive note, we finally got over 1,000 levy. Now we actually are strong enough to match the Pale with their 1,400 levies. Problem is still, as always, England. We're currently just waiting, chilling out, doing nothing but making friends with our fellow Irish, and waiting for an opportunity to declare war on the English. That opportunity will likely be the next phase of the 100-Year War, as France has been winning pretty handily. If France can carry out another naval invasion of England, it should be the perfect moment to strike. I think we might have done it. We're going to peace out, taking nearly all of the Pale's land. Unfortunately, this is a peace with just the Pale. England is still at war with us. But it does mean we get to raise more levies. Now we just need to fight the English to a white peace, and we'll be pretty much unopposed in Ireland. Alright, managed to peace out England. One of the costs was having to release Tyrone from our vassalage, but that's not a big deal, honestly. Let's look, are they willing? Yeah, they're willing to just become our vassal again the moment they're allowed to. So we'll just wait a few years. We'll make sure to bring them back, form a new tribal confederation including them. Now let's see about coring all this land we've taken from the English section. Our truce has expired with England. They have just gone out of war with France where they were getting absolutely wrecked. There's only 500 of them left and next to 0 potential levies. Should we declare war again and finish off the Pale once and for all? It's a scary one because, I mean, you know, 500 regulars? How many do we have? We have 4,000 levies. Is that enough to defeat 500 regulars? I'm not sure. We're going to try anyway. Because I simply don't like the idea of waiting for France to go to war with England again. The only people here of note really is Flanders. They're disloyal. Who is actually still loyal? We've got this country. I don't know how these guys became an English vassal. Then we've got this little French vassal here. They've only got 400 levies. And then somehow these guys here in Corsica, these guys might be a bit of a threat. There's 1,000 of them and they have 1,500 levies and they have 300 regulars as well. We're going to try it anyway though. We're going to risk it all because it feels good to do it. It'll all really come down to how those English regulars fare. If we stack wipe them, which isn't impossible depending on what happens, then we've we've won. Those guys have fallen into being rebellious. So they're not going to support the English. Just to make sure, we're going to sabotage England's relationship with them to make them even less willing to help out their overlord. There's the English. Can we catch them before they land? No, it doesn't like it. That's too bad. Looks like we've caught them. They're all in the center. Ah, that's the thing. Because they're a single stack of regulars, they're going to be forced into one place. That's good. Can we fully stack wipe them? If we could chase them down and eliminate them for good. Yes, we've done it. We captured what's left of their regulars. England now no longer has any soldiers outside of the 19 levies they have. We're now pretty free to occupy their territory in Ireland and fully expel them from the island. Feels good. All we have to do is siege down Dublin and we win. Or at least we'll have pushed the English out of Ireland. France is currently full occupying them. And they've lost London due to a certain event involving the Welsh Rebellion. So all we have to do is siege down Dublin. It's all we have to do. Unfortunately, Dublin is a very well defended province or location. And there's not really anything we could do to make it more siegeable. Normally we'd be able to build a spy network, but because the Pale is a vassal of England, we can't build a spy network in it. We can only build a spy network in England, which doesn't affect our siege of the Pale's lands. Awful, I know. As long as, well, oh no, there goes the French. There goes the French. I mean, purely numbers-wise, the people who have the main strength in England is Aquitaine. They have around 4,000 levies, but they're unloyal, so they shouldn't intervene. As long as England sits at 0 levies, this should be easy, right? We'll just finish the siege any day now, and then once that happens, we'll gain the ticking war score, and as long as we fend off any attempted English landings, England has regained around 5,000 levies. They're going to begin transporting them across as long as we finish the siege of Ireland. Ooh, they're going to land and attack us. That's actually quite good for us. And we defeat them. We kind of can't afford to let these guys live. We're going to have to pursue them, leaving some guys to keep sieging. We need to stack wipe these guys. Chase them. When are they going to stop? Looks like it's going to be one of those we can't stack wipe them situations. I'm just going to leave them then and head back. I can't risk losing the siege on Dublin. They can do as they like. Hopefully it won't cause too many problems. Looks like do what they like was come back and attack us, which is kind of good because we'll just defeat them. If we could just finish the siege. They're attacking again and being defeated again. Perfect. Oh, and we sieged it. I almost didn't think it was going to happen. Now we could separate piece out the Pale itself and take Dublin. That way, no matter what happens in the war, we'll have achieved our goal. And also, if we annex Dublin, we should gain all of its vassals as our own vassals. Let's see what happens. We'll annex the Pale. The Pale is now annexed. There, we've done it. A few stack wipes and the English are out in exchange for 100 gold. If we completely control Ireland now, all that we need to do is now integrate our Irish vassals so we can then become Ireland. Probably going to take a while though. There we go. Lovely. I definitely could have done it faster. This was my first real attempt at doing this, and I made a few mistakes. So I definitely think this could be done faster if you really just take advantage of the France and England war. But then it can be pretty random, as if England, for example, just decides not to deploy its troops to France and gets stack wiped, or France doesn't decide to deploy its troops to England and occupy them, it's hard to find the exact moment where it's like, yep, now we can go. But as I said, I'm pretty sure I could have done this better. Let me know what you thought. I have heard there is a strategy where you become a tributary to England and do it that way, but I chose not to use that strategy as I wanted to devise my own. I'm not sure if mine was much better. But either way, thank you for watching and see you next time.